I apologize for cutting out a little bit too early there. Where we are, the broadcast system basically, depending on what speed each individual's connection is, has a small lag in it, and so we're still trying to pin down how long the lag is for everybody. It seems to be about 15-20 seconds on the max, but I accidentally just hit the button before letting it expire there. Okay, I hopped off because I wanted to take a closer look at LinkedIn and Tesla, as well as a couple other things in the market here, as the market's moving. And LinkedIn and Tesla, you'll notice market's up big. LinkedIn's Tesla, they're up slightly. Okay, now one of the things with them, and one of the things that we a lot of times will see on days like this, is we will see that some of the high flyers will actually tend to lag big market up moves. What tends to do really well on big market up moves? Some of the laggards, okay? Beazer Homes, up 2%, where Lennar's up fractionally, okay? We'll tend to see things like Google or Exxon making strong moves, while some of the others, are going to be lagging just a little bit. Ford here, we talked about the bullish action on Ford on Friday, and it's just kind of confirming that here today. Some of your more popular, some of your more reputable stocks will be getting some of the will be getting some of the boost there. Okay. Now, some of these others, these laggards, or some of these high flyer stocks, like I mentioned, LinkedIn and Tesla, if the market holds its strength here throughout the day, you'll tend to see those kind of play catch up as confidence builds, and they will start to play a little bit of catch up historically. At the same time, I'm nervous, right? If the market doesn't hold, the market starts to push back, the market starts to pull back, and LinkedIn and Tesla start to underperform. Okay, that could be really ugly. Okay, so with LinkedIn, essentially, is LinkedIn back above 230? That's what I want to see. Okay, continues to stay above 230. We're fine there with LinkedIn. Tesla, I'd love to see it get back above 150. It starts to push down below 147. I will get nervous about that and look to just pull it off to free up some cash to get into some of the other stuff that is out there here today. But there are a lot of things that are kind of underperforming here today. Let me show them to you. Schlumberger, SLB, Exxon's up real big, okay, but Schlumberger still struggling. Halliburton, still struggling, not being able to really get a foothold. Chevron, still struggling there. Even ConocoPhillips, which I talked about last week as a very interesting buy, bottom picker. It's still not, getting a great move here within this energy group. Transocean rig, still lagging. So you'll see that this move here today. This is a move that's more about interest rate sensitive stocks than anything else. Okay, and we can kind of really see that with the utilities. Utilities outperforming tremendously here today, and that's really what much of this move here is about this morning. Okay. All right, couple other things to go out and take a look at. Let's take a look here at the banks. Okay, banks are interest rate sensitive, right? And you would think, okay, interest rates rise. That tends to be good for the regional banks, especially. But the banks have a little bit of an overhang from some of the congressional action last week with some of the Volcker rule, some of the full implementation of some of the Dodd-Frank Act. putting some restrictions, some limitations on the bank, especially in regards to short-term trading. They've put some serious limitations on them. Take a look at something like Goldman Sachs. Okay, breaking above 170, even in the midst of that. Morgan Stanley, which was at Carl's top three on Friday, still staying very strong, even in the face of those headwinds, those the Volcker rule and everything else. Uh, in my opinion, all of that was already priced in. Okay, the vocal rule was already priced in, and that's the reason why we've seen the banks pull back recently. Okay, are they going to start to surge right here, right now? Not necessarily, but Bank of America, in my opinion, is the one to really keep an eye on. If Bank of America can either get down here to 15, becomes a very nice buy, or if it starts to break above 15 and a half, very nice buy for that next, for that next move higher there within the banks there. Okay, can you go chase something like Goldman Sachs? Absolutely. Morgan Stanley, absolutely. But you're chasing them with some contracting bands ahead of the Fed. They're not as safe as what I think Bank of America would be if we had a little more strength come into Bank of America. Okay. I had a question here in my email about DuPont. I mentioned DuPont here this morning. The question revolved around this bearish engulfing candle that we saw on Wednesday last week, and if that was a big deal. Yeah, I mean, any bearish engulfing candle is a big deal, but at the same time, these bearish engulfings are not, in 2013, they've just not been very accurate. I mean, we've seen a lot of upside come in on these bearish engulfings, and that's very abnormal. But that has been a 2013 phenomena there. Okay. So DuPont, would I be concerned about that? No, not at all. Not at all. There is something like Dow Chemical, which doesn't quite have that same bearish type engulfing. Has still very strong bullish action, bullish continuation action. You have Eastman Chemical, which has been underperforming tremendously. When you're talking about this chemical area, so you do have some different charts that you could go after within that sector, but DuPont is definitely my favorite there. Micron was asked about Micron this morning, about getting into Micron here today. Can't make an argument against it. The trend remains very strong, continues, bounced off nicely off the 7-day moving average last week. Can you argue Micron's overbought? Sure, but you could have argued that at 21, at 20, at 19. You could have argued that back here at 16 and 17 in September. So, yes, it is overbought, but that's not necessarily a great argument for the trade. Okay. Visa, 215 is the price target. 215 for those of you that got into Visa. 215 is the price target there. Okay. All right, Tesla, up about 1.6%. So outperforming the market, right? I mean, percentage-wise, it's outperforming the market, but you'd expect Tesla to be, obviously up a little bit better. LinkedIn here, it's holding on. I mean, it's holding on, holding up above the 7-hour here this morning. So still in a good spot. I have to admit, we do have sell order emails already for both of them in case they do start to reverse. But the more the day plays out today, with them staying up and gradually kind of pushing up just a little bit, the better it bodes for them to get bought into aggressively into the close here today. All right, we've looked at bullish and looked at things from a very bullish standpoint. This weekend, two of you sent me an email, said, Jeff, is there anything for us bears out there? And those of you who know me, I'd like to play the bearish side. I would prefer the bearish side overall. Okay, that said, there's not a lot. We talked last week about things like the bullish percent index. Okay, and how the bullish percent index close to breaking down, but not quite there. Okay, it just, and that's the way a lot of the bearish trades are. They're close to being there, but they're not quite there. Can you go after something that's trading below the 7, like Apple, on Friday, and be bearish with that? Sure, but you risk such a snapback. Even something like DuPont, can you play the bearish engulfing? Yeah, but you're risking such a snapback, and those have been the norm here for 2013. And can it be different this time? Absolutely. But if you're going out and playing the bearish side of this market, I would be very, very cautious, very careful. That said, okay. That said, are there some bearish things? Are there some bearish potential? You know, Here's one that was on my list. Cameron. It wasn't anything I was short yet, but it was something I'm looking at going, we have this big move lower. We have this consolidation to the upside. And even this, instead of breaking down like you would expect this type of chart pattern to do, it's breaking up on a trend rider bull. Okay, so even the stuff that, on my list, I'm going, man, I'm watching these for shorts, Alcoa below 920, they're not getting there. They're absolutely not getting there, and instead of breaking down, they're actually breaking up, and breaking to the high side instead of to the low side there. Okay. Yeah, Jones. Hymex got an upgrade this morning, up about 10%. Yep, absolutely. And they kind of roll right along here with Micron. Obviously, Hymex is going to be much more volatile than Micron, but that's a very bullish pattern here on Hymex, and hitting what you would expect to be the technical price target of about $12 here with Hymex. But Hymex has some interesting stuff going on that could take it into the $18 range, where you could see this thing continue to explode. Another one, very interesting pattern. Those of you who've known me for a while, I like to trade this. But Glue Mobile, they make apps for smartphones, and Glue Mobile had a very nice move here. September went from 220 up to 4. Has now had a very bullish consolidation, though with a strong gap down. But we start to see Glue Mobile hold above 360 for a day or two. That would be very positive there for Glue Mobile. Another one that's low dollar amount, but we've talked about before, Fannie Mae. Very bullish overall here with Fannie Mae. 250 is a stop, but there's nothing bearish here. Fannie Mae had every opportunity to break down last week and didn't, and continuing higher there. Oil, okay, and John has been on talking about oil. He's talked about any pullbacks, a buy for oil, the price of oil. We had a pullback Friday. Today, oil's gapping back up and pushing higher here. Within the group, is that bullish, bearish? Well, we're not seeing many of the energy stocks react. Trade how you meant Tesoro. Tesoro is up a little bit. Tesoro has a nice little flag pattern here. Could this be a kind of a flag and pennant pattern here? With this little bullish consolidation followed by a breakout to the upside. I think so. I think Tesoro can make it up into the 65 to 68 range if the market continues to be bullish overall. But I want to see it consolidate for a little bit longer before jumping in there. Okay. All right, so LinkedIn here. LinkedIn's kind of trying to hold on. It's not doing as well as Tesla. Okay, overall there. Again, I do want to potentially pull and get into a little bit of cash to be able to put a straddle on or something like that ahead of the Fed. Don't necessarily have to free that up this morning, but won't be really patient with LinkedIn and Tesla if they start to break the levels that we looked at. Yeah, Martin, MRO. MRO here. This is, let me pull it up. This is a stock overall I continue to be very bullish on. Okay. But here's MRO. And this drop right here. Okay. And then we get this little consolidation back, right? And here's the danger. Okay. Here's the danger with MRO. The danger with MRO is that it has a secondary drop. So kind of like Tesoro flag and pennant, or Tesoro with with this kind of action though on the upside. MRO almost has it happening here on the downside. Can that be erased? Yeah, absolutely. Trading back above 36.5 would erase that, and I would be willing to step back into Marathon above 36.5 here. Would be very nice there. Okay. So with Marathon, Win, which we kind of did right after Marathon, was asked about it this weekend. I would have trouble buying Win right here, above 180. It's a tough buy here. Yeah, could I short it? Not really. It'd be a pretty aggressive short, but overall, I'd have a hard time being a buyer right here of Win. All right, most days here in 2013, where the market has jumped up like this in the morning, okay, where we've seen stock futures push higher, reverse from overnight weakness, push higher, shoot up in the morning. We've seen a little bit of volatility in the morning, but most of these markets have held their gains throughout the day and have actually continued to push up into the close. That has been the tendency. Just so to see the market pull back, maybe to 1780, 1779 on the futures, sure. But overall, we would expect for it to kind of hold around these levels and kind of add to some of its gains into the close, and that would be typical of this type of action here for 2013. Yeah, IGT. I have Trade Hound. In fact, I've traded IGT before, International Game Tech, and it's not one that I follow closely. I've never traded options on it. I've bought stock on it before. It's not one that I would look at very bullishly right here. In fact, for you bears looking for something, IGT has the lower highs, the lower lows, the volumes, the technicals that say, hey, downtrend here for IGT. So I'd be looking at it from a bearish standpoint. Heck, there's actually a pretty decent bearish setup here today, just using about 1775 as a stopping point. Yeah, very interesting stock. It can move. It definitely can move, and it's one of those. There are some of those stocks out there that you look at and you go, okay, this is normal movement. But then when you're in the trade, when you're actually in it, you go, wow, this thing really moves. Johnson and Johnson got hacked, got just pushed down real strong last week. This is one that I'd rather have a bearish eye on right here for a further pullback. Yes, it's bouncing here. Okay, it is bouncing here, but it's not not really creating any bullish signals like many of the other things are doing out there. Yeah, Jones, you're right here on LinkedIn. One of the things here with LinkedIn, notice the spread here on the bid ask. That spread's pretty well. It's actually pretty narrow right now. Most of Friday it was in the 40-50 cent area there with LinkedIn. And as you know, I'm not very happy with it going negative. I don't really want to mess with it too much. Um, if it is going to stay weak here. Um, 298, below 298 is absolute cutoff. Don't even want to bother with it anymore. Below that level here. You'll notice, I mean, LinkedIn's gone, what, about $5 against us, since we've gotten in. Because of the option that we did, that hasn't been a huge change in the option value as far as, dollar amount and whatnot. And given the way LinkedIn trades, that's kind of why we set it up that way. But here, still gonna give it just a bit. One of the things when you pull up a minute chart on something, when you're looking to potentially get out, you take a look at some of the volumes. What tends to happen is if it's going to set a bottom, there'll be some accelerated volumes. There will be some bigger volumes that will start to come in. So far with LinkedIn, we don't see that, which makes me nervous that we could have some more downside on it. Which is why I want to keep a closer eye on it here. Pandora. Okay, Pandora here. As far as downside action, this had a real nice earnings move higher. It kind of broke out above 28, hit 32, has been weak ever since. Pandora is one that I just don't understand how they make money. From the advertising, I use Pandora, but at the same time, I don't understand their valuations being where they are. If I was back in my fund managing days, building a short position here on Pandora, just absolutely couldn't argue with. SSYS. This one has underperformed recently, especially like Triple D, which has been trying to break out above 80. SSYS here weak today. We're seeing a lot of these momentum stocks really not holding on here today, and that's not a great sign here. Okay, I am going to pull off LinkedIn here. Okay, I'm just going to pull it off, create the close, and I'm just going to do a market order. It's not going to make much difference there. Out of LinkedIn here at 525. Okay, out of LinkedIn at 525. Okay, and at the same time, I'm going to go pull off Tesla. Okay, I'm going to take my gain on Tesla. Okay, not that there's anything overly bearish or anything here about Tesla that I say, oh, this is scary, but I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to go to cash here so that we can set up ahead of the Fed, fresh and new here. I'm just going to do market order as well, just to pop out there. Okay. That should leave us somewhere around. Looks like our fill there. Let's see our fill overall here. We're looking at a fill on Tesla here of 1915. 1915. Okay. 1915. All right, so we sold LinkedIn and Tesla. Okay. 1915 on Tesla, and 525 on LinkedIn. Okay, 525 on LinkedIn. This should leave us about 3,000 on the challenge. Okay, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here. As those sell orders go out here. Bear with me for just 1 second. Alrighty, good deal. Good deal. So out of Tesla and out of LinkedIn. Okay. Can they still go higher? Sure. I'd be more confident about Tesla than LinkedIn. LinkedIn's the one that I'm most concerned with, as it kind of goes and threatens this 228 level, trading below the 7. Tesla had, or LinkedIn had real nice signs of kind of continuing. It still may. We still may get some sort of bullish engulfing type action like we saw back here in September, that could send it higher. But at the same time, right here, it's a little bit of dead money, and let's pull it off and get into to something better there. All right. I was going to do this a little bit later today, but let me do it now. Let's talk about the challenge, the 3K challenge, and where we're at. Carl will give me the exact number here. We should be somewhere right around 3,000, maybe down $50, up $50, somewhere in that area. It's been a rough start. It's been a rough start in some aspects. This is the first challenge since the challenge we did last November, where I actually look, I go, man, I really think that we made a mistake, and the mistake was with MRO, and holding that just a little bit, be a little bit too long there. And what that did is that didn't allow us to get into Apple when Apple broke out. We had a good comeback trade here on Win after a dip. We had some things like the Lennar puts that got an upgrade the next day. Microsoft, which basically, we got in on the bullish action, and it basically tanked, right away on it. We're able to get out with a small loss, and we've kept most of the losses very small. So we've only needed, two winners with Tesla and Win, to erase all the losses there. VIX, it should be somewhere right around 3,000. So really, a month in, we haven't gotten any traction. What does this mean, or how does this kind of affect things, or alter our outlook for 100K? Well, let me kind of. I'm on a different computer, so let me see if I can pull up a notepad here. No, doesn't look like I can. So let me just do this. Let me just annotate this, and let's just write on here. Okay, Tom, your challenges count 29.98. Yeah, okay, so pretty close to 3,000, give or take $50, depending on fill prices and whatnot there. Okay. With the challenge, essentially, we start out with 3,000, and that's our risk. And the challenge is what allows us, our risk is such there. Essentially, we need a few doubles to get the challenge to the 100,000, right? So we basically look at 5 doubles, okay, in a rough estimation. Go from 3,000 to 6,000, 6 to 12, 12, 24, 24, 48, 48, 96. We need essentially 5 doubles. I almost look at it as 6, just because, as we hit certain price levels, we take out some cash and whatnot. After the first 30 days, we're still at the 3,000. We were up to 4,000 at one point. We were down to 1,800 at one point. We've had a few swings, and essentially we're now, instead of having 4 months, we have 3 months. Are we going to get to 100,000? No, we may. We may. The one challenge where we hit 100,000, we were in a similar position at one point. But at the same time, I still look at this as five or six doubles, as the goals are doubles. The goals are doubles, and so far the hardest double to get is the 3 to 6. Okay, this is the hardest double to get. It's the hardest double to get just simply because you don't have a lot of room for error. Okay, you just don't have a lot of room for error. After that, you have a little bit more room for error. So, really what we're looking at, we'd love to get from 3,000 into about the 5 or 6,000 range by the end of the year. Yeah, could it come faster than that? Sure, but we'd love to kind of get into that through January, get up to the 12,000, through February into the 24 to 48, and look at it as kind of a double every 3.5 weeks there. Does that put us on pace for 100,000? No, it doesn't. It doesn't, because we kind of have a lost month here. Does it still put us on pace for some strong gains? Sure, but obviously we still have to get through this first double. Part of cashing out LinkedIn and Tesla here is a little bit of a reset, especially ahead of the Fed, and especially as a lot of signals are changing here today. We're getting a lot of signal differences going on. And while I'm not a huge fan of straddles, I really think that this Fed, heading into this Fed action here, a straddle could pay off very, very nicely and get us a nice little boost here. So that's kind of why we've done that. But that's kind of the outlook here as far as where we need to go with that for the individual challenge. Okay, for the 3 to 100K challenge. So are we in a terrible position? No, not at all. Are we in a great position? No, not yet. Can we get there? Well, sure. You see how fast Win took 2 days to basically almost double for us. Being in the right trades, they can go up quite a bit. At the same time, so far, we just haven't, other than Win, we just haven't been able to grab that traction just yet. But some real nice things that are setting up out there, and playing around this Fed should be quite fun here. Okay. If you do have any questions in regards to the challenge, please let me know. Jeff at Trader Minute, happy to kind of show those to you there, and we'll probably look to pile in here a little bit later today. I do want to let some of the signals settle out here around 10:30, 11 o'clock Mountain Time, so a little bit after lunchtime on the East Coast. See where some of the signals settle in. Monday afternoon signals tend to be pretty good, and so we'll look to react to some of those as the day progresses here. Was asked for the challenge if I would consider doing a day trade. I've talked day trading. You guys know that some of these things, we talk about, if Apple breaks 560, it's going to 555. We make a lot of those type of comments, and the stock moves, makes that move, and then goes. Would we consider doing that? Yeah, we would, but not so much as a day trade, more as a, hey, we're going to put a buy order out for this stock at this for this option at this price, knowing it's not going to get filled right away. But if it does get filled, we will have a very good setup. We definitely that is an option. We have done that before. We will look at doing that going forward, as far as the challenge goes there. Okay. Alrighty, well, thanks for hopping on. Carl will be with you much of the morning here. I'll be off and on here, kind of as I do some of my research and kind of put all my charts and things together. But any questions, let us know, and we'll talk to you later. Take care.